As you catch your breath for a second, you recoil as if punched in the gut. The full memory of the terrible moment your hand wrapped around the Pact Weapon of Orixiam washing over you in terrifying detail. Your eyes roll back, and your head and your vision swims. You find yourself in the body of a young man, looking through his eyes. In your mind, a terrible incessant whispering, a woman's voice dripping with promises of power and pride. The young man walks through the dark with heavy, steady steps, through the vineyards and towards a large manor house lit up by mundane torchlight and other arcane means. From the hill you see beautiful globes of light. Greens, blues and purples drift through the large estate. The sound of a party reaches your ears. The happy chatter of the crowds mingling with the sounds of joyous music and various bardic performances are a stark contrast as the man looks down and behind him to the struggling figure he's dragging along by the hair. A brutal backhanded strike is enough to subdue the old prisoner, and the young man continues towards a dell in a thick grove of trees. At the base of the dell is a ruin of an old house. The broken walls overgrown with vines and weeds, their gnarled roots emerging from the soil like skeletal fingers from graves long forgotten. The man looks back to his quarry as his hands work the stones in front of him. Your vision too obscured to see the details, and the floor itself begins to shift downwards, revealing old stone stairs that descend deep into the ground. The voice still whispers maddeningly in your mind, demanding this man's death, promising you dark gifts in return for servitude and obedience. Down the stone steps he walks for what seems like an age, dragging the old man behind him until finally he emerges into a subterranean temple of sorts. Draconic imagery abounds, interspersed here and there with wolf-like symbolism. As the young man enters this space, a host of heavily robed figures flock to his side, examining the prisoner, laughing and spitting upon him, as now awake his terrified eyes dart back and forth. "Place him upon the altar of sacrifice," whispers one of the robed figures. This one is taller than the others and wears blue robes instead of black. The old man is restrained at the hands and feet and held down on a low altar, covered with runes and lumps of dried blood and viscera. And the robed figure turns to you, his thick blue hood hanging low, obscuring his features. "The catch was yours. So should then the kill belong to you. For the honor of the Dragon Queen, the mother of chaos and darkness, that most..." But his strained whispering words are interrupted as the old man lurches towards you both, one of the cultist daggers in his bound hands, and two of the robed figures contorting in agony on the stone floor, clutching wicked-looking wounds across their throats, their life's blood seeping quickly through their fingers. As the young man whose body you seem to be inhabiting looks to his hand, and a flash of dark, smoky energy, heavily ruined and adorned longsword apparates there and catches the first slash of the old man's dagger swipe. As the blue-robed figure vanishes in a cloud of grey smoke, the young man brings his packed weapon around in a wickedly fast swipe towards the old man's neck, far too quickly for him to parry the blow or even dodge it, severing the head from the body, which drops to the floor lifeless, pumping blood from the neck onto the flagstones. The remaining cultists scuttle over and drag his body through the quickly forming pool of blood and onto the altar, tracing runes and sigils with their gore-covered fingers. As he turns to walk away, you hear a familiar voice whisper,
"In her honor for the power I possess."
Before you snap back to the here and now, sweat running down your back and your breath coming in slow, ragged gasps.